Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you're paying even a little bit of attention to what's happening in wellness right now, especially here in 2025, the demand for natural energy boosters and these clean label formulations is it's absolutely skyrocketing.
Oh, completely. Consumers are done with proprietary blends. They're done with synthetic ingredients.
Exactly. They want that lift, but they want it to come from a source that's, clean, traceable, and something they can actually understand.
And that search for sustainable, functional energy, it so often leads directly to one specific ingredient.
Guarana seed powder.
That's the one. It's powerful, it has this ancient history, but is also one of the hardest ingredients to really standardize.
It really is. It's incredibly sought after. You see it in pre-workouts, focus aids, daily health shakes. But like a lot of powerful botanicals, it comes with these specific traps if you don't know the exact questions to ask.
Or if you don't know how to read the label properly. So our mission today, it's really tailored for you. We want to shortcut that learning curve. We're going to give you a rigorous kind of buyer-focused framework.
A secret weapon almost.
Yeah, exactly. A way for you to easily discern quality and safety and performance, whether you're looking at the raw powder capsules or...
Yes, those ready-to-drink products that are everywhere.
Right, because in a market, this competitive quality sourcing and transparent testing, they're not just nice-to-haves anymore, they are absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay, so let's unpack this. To help us navigate all that variability, our sources gave us a really clear, actionable checklist. You can think of it as your instant assessment toolkit.
That toolkit has 6 essential criteria. These really determine the true value and safety of any Guarana product. First is the caffeine content per serving in milligrams. And we're going to talk a lot about how tricky that number is. Second, the typical serving size itself. Third, the physical form. Is it a powder, an extract, a capsule? Fourth, and this is maybe the most crucial, the evidence of third-party testing or certifications.
And fifth, the origin or the sourcing region. Where did it actually come from?
Exactly. And the final one, number 6, is the practical one. The approximate price per serving in USD.
Knowing those 6 points really informs every smart decision, whether you're formulating a new product or just, buying for your own morning routine.
So let's start where the biggest risk is. We're calling it the caffeine paradox. The first assumption people usually make with a botanical is that, okay, it's Guarana, so it has a standard amount of caffeine.
Right, you'd think so.
But our research shows that's just profoundly not the case.
That was one of the most surprising things in the sources, actually. The caffeine content is not uniform. You just assume it's standardized like a pharmaceutical ingredient, but why is the variability the norm here?
Well, it comes down to nature and then to processing. The seeds themselves, they naturally have between, say, 3 and 6% caffeine.
Which is already higher than coffee beans.
Way higher. But every harvest is different. And more importantly, the products you see on the market are rarely just raw ground seeds. They're usually blends or, more often, these highly processed extracts that have been concentrated to hit some target caffeine percentage.
Okay.
And that processing creates just massive variability across different brands and even, this is critical, across different batches from the very same supplier.
So wait, if I take 2 bottles from 2 different brands, both say Guarana seed powder, both list, 1 gram as the serving size, they could give me wildly different actual caffeine doses.
Wildly different. It all depends on whether one is a raw powder and the other is, say, a 20% concentrated extract.
Wow. That sounds like a total minefield for product formulators.
It absolutely is. That's the core challenge. So for anyone developing a product, this means you need meticulous alignment with your supplier. You just can't trust a generic label. You have to request batch-specific certificates of analysis, COAs, for every single shipment.
Every time.
Every single time. And honestly, if precise dosing matters for your product's safety, and it should, you need to be doing in-house caffeine testing to validate what your supplier is telling you.
And for you, the person actually consuming it, this is huge. Understanding that caffeine range is what keeps you from getting, the jitters, the anxiety.
Or the sleep disruption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The classic complaints we hear all the time. Consistency isn't just a supplier issue. It's about making sure your Monday morning boost isn't a Tuesday afternoon panic attack.
Right. You need that guarantee that every scoop is doing the same thing.
Okay, so let's get practical. With all this variability, how does a buyer, or just an educated consumer, make sure they're getting high-quality powder? What are the concrete steps?
Quality selection really boils down to 3 things: transparency, testing, and traceability. First, You have to insist on verified third-party testing. If a supplier is hesitant to share a COA, or they only give you an old one,
That's a huge red flag.
that's your first red flag. The COA has to be current and specific to the batch you are buying. Second, look for those big operational certifications like GMP Good Manufacturing Practice or ISO compliance. They show the ingredient was handled correctly.
And for that traceability piece, if I'm looking at the COA, what specific sections should I be auditing? What are the must-haves?
You need to be able to verify the origin and the production practices. That's what gives you access to the key safety data. That data has to include screening for heavy metals, mandatory testing for pesticides, and of course that accurate, verified caffeine number. If those documents aren't there, you walk away.
I like that focus on what's inside the package, but what about the package itself? Can you run into quality issues if it's just stored incorrectly?
Absolutely. It's a botanical. Its
Yeah.
potency can degrade. If you're buying powder, the container needs to be opaque and airtight.
Why opaque?
Light, heat, and moisture will all compromise the active ingredients. It can dramatically reduce the shelf life and how well it works. It's a common mistake when people buy those big bulk bags without a proper seal.
That's a great practical tip. Okay, let's pivot a little to the benefits side. Why are people even taking this? We know the cognitive and energy effects are mainly from the caffeine, right? Better alertness, faster reaction time.
That's right. Caffeine is the workhorse here, for sure. But it's important to see guarana as a bit more than just pure caffeine. It has a pretty well-established antioxidant profile. And while the research is still ongoing, some studies suggest that the unique blend of compounds in the seed,
Like tannins and saponins.
exactly, those might contribute to a smoother, maybe longer-lasting energy curve compared to that rush and crash you get from, say, a cup of coffee.
So we're saying the evidence supports the cognitive effects in the caffeine, but the real-world benefit might come from that mindful usage, maybe buffered by those other compounds.
I think that's a good way to put it, but fundamentally, it is not a magic bullet. It does not replace sleep.
No, definitely not.
It's a tool for enhancement, not a fix for poor lifestyle habits.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting, because we have to talk about safety and this idea of cumulative load. Our sources were very clear on this. They cite that general guardrail for healthy adults, about 400 milligrams of caffeine a day from all sources.
And that last part, from all sources, is the most easily overlooked factor in modern life. It's so easy to miss.
Oh, yeah.
We all know that person who has an energy drink, then a Guarana pre-workout, then 2 cups of coffee, and then wonders why they're so jittery.
Right.
You have to treat that 400 milligram rule like a hard limit, not a suggestion. It's the Guarana plus the coffee, the tea, the chocolate, any other supplements.
It adds up so fast. 2 strong cups of coffee and 1 natural energy shot, and you're already halfway there before you even touch your Guarana powder. And we have to talk about sensitive populations here.
That's the highest priority. Pregnant or nursing individuals, children, and especially people with pre-existing heart conditions or sleep disorders need to be extremely cautious.
They should always talk to a clinician first.
Always. The risks just far outweigh the benefits for those groups without real medical guidance.
For those of us working with the powder itself, precision is everything. What are the dosing guidelines? You can't just eyeball this stuff.
No, effective dosing has to start incrementally. For a pure powder, a really conservative, safe starting point is about half a gram, 0.5 grams per serving.
Okay. And that small amount lets you do what?
It lets you carefully assess your personal tolerance.
And what does assess personal tolerance actually mean in practice? What am I looking for?
You're tracking a few things. The timing doesn't mess with your sleep later. You're monitoring physical symptoms, any jitters, rapid heart rate, stomach issues, and you're also watching for tolerance buildup. If you need 1.5 grams today to feel what 0.5 grams did last week, you need to step back and reevaluate.
So what's a common effective range?
A common range for a moderate lift is between 0.5 and 1.5 grams per serving, but the advice is non-negotiable. Start low, go slowly, and validate that dose before you scale up or make it a daily thing.
And if someone starts at that 0.5 gram dose, how long should they wait before trying to scale up? What's the window for assessing tolerance?
I'd say give your body at least 3 to 5 days of consistent, identical dosing before you make any upward adjustment. If you see negative effects, you scale back immediately. Patience is key here.
Excellent advice. Let's dive deeper into the quality assurance side now, into what we're calling the audit trail. We've established third-party testing is mandatory. But let's get really specific. What data must be on that certificate of analysis?
Okay, this is where the burden of proof shifts. A COA for any batch has to include 4 mandatory components. If you're a buyer, commit these to memory. 1. Heavy metals testing, specifically lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury. These can get in from the soil or from processing equipment.
That's a huge safety factor right there. What are the other 3?
2. A comprehensive screen for pesticide residues. If it wasn't grown organically, you need absolute assurance that common agricultural chemicals are below the limits. 3. Microbiological limits. This confirms the powder is free from harmful bacteria, yeast, mold, and other pathogens. And 4, the big one, accurate quantification of the active ingredient, which in this case is caffeine.
So without those 4 points verified and current, you just can't trust the product.
You cannot confidently trust the product or the supplier. It's as simple as that.
That's a powerful standard. Beyond that essential safety data, what about the gold standard certifications that signal a really premium supplier?
Well, GMP and ISO are foundational, but you can look for something like USP verification, which confirms purity and potency against really stringent standards. And if the product is for athletes, the NSF Certified for Sport certification is the highest signal of quality you can get. It ensures it's free of banned substances.
The lab standards are critical. But that COA all depends on the people sourcing the product in the first place. How do we make sure that quality control goes beyond the lab and into the farming community? Let's talk about the supply chain story.
This is where a brand's reputation is either built or destroyed. Our sources really emphasize that origin matters, not just for the botanical quality.
Which is often highest in the Brazilian Amazon.
Right, but it's increasingly about sustainability. Consumers expect brands to show that they're using ethical sourcing practices.
So what should a buyer look for to satisfy that expectation?
You should look for suppliers who can give you detailed traceability maps. These should show where the seed was harvested, who the farmer partners are, and they should show explicit commitments to environmental stewardship. Certifications like Organic, Rainforest Alliance, or Fair Trade are great signals.
And from a purely business perspective, a transparent supplier network isn't just a nice story. It's a form of risk mitigation.
Exactly. It reduces your supply chain risk and contributes to resilience. If you know where your seed comes from, how it was harvested, processed, you can manage quality issues or contamination risks way more effectively.
That link between sustainability and risk management is vital. Okay, let's wrap up by looking at the practical side, the different product forms and how to optimize them. We've got powder, capsules, extracts, and RTDs.
Each one serves a specific need. The pure powder offers the most flexible dosing. It's usually the cheapest and easiest to blend into things, but you have to measure it accurately.
Then capsules are for convenience.
Right, they're convenient and offer precise, pre-measured dosing, no scale needed.
And what about the standardized extracts?
Extracts give you a much higher caffeine concentration, so you need less for the same effect. But this is where you often run into flavor issues. Guarana has this distinct, kind of bitter, astringent taste.
Which gets more intense when it's concentrated.
Way more intense, which is why the ready-to-drink options, the RTDs, are so popular. They're built for quick consumption and usually mask those flavors with sweeteners and other things.
So when you're optimizing usage, especially for powders, that taste is key.
Palatability is huge. We'd recommend pairing it with strong compatible flavors like chocolate, citrus, strong berry profiles. That's important for long-term satisfaction. And crucially, for sensitive users who struggle with caffeine jitters, one of the best tips is strategic balancing.
Balancing how?
Balancing the caffeine with other energy support ingredients that can kind of modulate the nervous system. The classic example is pairing guarana with L-theanine.
Which you find in tea.
Exactly. It's known to promote a state of relaxed focus without making you drowsy. Adding B vitamins can also support energy metabolism and smooth out that energy curve.
That synergy is really the definition of smart formulation. Okay, so finally, let's tie this all back to that huge trend, the clean label movement.
The clean label trend is pushing everything towards organic, non-GMO, and minimally processed guarana. The emphasis is always clear. Consumers will pay a premium for traceability and transparent testing no matter what form it takes. It's a vote of confidence.
So we've really gone from the messy reality of caffeine variability all the way to the specific, non-negotiable demands you need to make on your supply chain. We've walked through the safety manual. And what that means for you is you can stop just guessing at labels and start demanding those 4 critical data points on every COA.
Exactly. Knowledge about guarana isn't just about reading a caffeine number on a label. It's about demanding responsible consumption information and proving supply chain integrity. It shifts the burden of proof to the supplier where it belongs.
And it creates a need for critical thinking.
Right. Guarana is a functional ingredient with natural challenges, but those challenges are manageable if you stick to the framework we've laid out today.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider. Guarana provides a perfect case study for the entire modern supplement industry. If transparency, meticulous batch traceability, and standardized heavy metal testing are non-negotiable for a single seed powder, what foundational quality metrics should you be demanding from every other natural ingredient in your daily routine? We want you to mull that over until next time.